When we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all love and trust and
Praise the Lord. We continue our series on the book of Exodus. Today we want to talk about negligence. Negligence is failure to take proper care over something. Simply put, negligence is careless attitude or carefree attitude that we have. And when we have carefree or careless attitude, it also has negative effects and results. It affects our relationships and can create tension between us and others. When you live in a home, community, institution, or organization, as much as it depends on you, try to be careful and meticulous to avoid situations that will point to you as a negligent person, especially if it keeps occurring. Communities or churches can also be negligent if they fail to fulfill or respond or to carry out their responsibilities effectively. Indeed, in life, there can be occasional slips, but they must not be frequent, so much so that it is used to define you as your character trait. Today, we would like to look at negligence from Exodus chapter 21. Exodus 21, 33 to 36 says, suppose someone digs or uncovers a pit and fails to cover it, and then an ox or a donkey falls into it. The owner of the pit must pay full compensation to the owner of the animal, but then he gets to keep the dead animal. If someone's ox injures a neighbor's ox and the injured ox dies, then the two owners must sell the live ox and divide the price equally between them. They must also divide the dead animal. But if the ox had a reputation for goring, yet its owner failed to keep it under control, he must pay full compensation, a live ox for the dead one, but he may keep the dead ox. We're still talking about the Israelites as they left Egypt. They still have their animals with them, and they've settled at the foot of Sinai, and they were now agricultural people, so they have to graze the land, they have to sell their cattle, they have to use some for sacrifices. And so here we are talking about negligence in terms of the Israelites and their dealings with their animals, especially the ox or the cattle. First, we want to look at failures. Exodus 21:33 says, suppose someone digs or uncovers a pit and fails to cover it, and then an ox or a donkey falls into it. So here we are talking about negligence. We have to remember that once we dig the hole, we are expected to cover it. And we should not decide not to cover it so that somebody's animal can fall into it. And when it falls into it, the animal might die or the animal will be injured. Forgetfulness can happen. But sometimes forgetfulness is not an excuse. It is a checking of our obligations and responsibilities. This will cause harm to others, especially animals who can easily fall in. We must admit our failures and seek to redress our faults. Here it is suggested that full compensation should be paid. We should not argue or be defensive when we are negligent. We should not go to court to find a legal hole to deny those who we have deprived of their livelihood, that's their donkeys or their horses and cows. Yes. Sometimes our negligence or carelessness can cause an accident where someone loses his car or is injured or his life. Remember that what is legal is not always right. What is legal can be right sometimes. A lawyer can defend you when you are right, but sometimes you're wrong. But you hire the best lawyer so that you'll be left off the hook. Remember, as people of God, people who are godly, legality should not be used when we are morally wrong. Our conscience should tell us this. So compensation should be done based on our moral judgment and godly fairness, according to this test, not according to how defensive we can be, how we are able to prove our case. Yes, sometimes we should own up for our failures. We should not. Failure can come. Nobody in this world can be exempt from failure. But when we fail, we have to admit it and not find a loophole and get out of it. Injuries also. Exodus 21:35 says, if someone's ox injures a neighbor's ox and the injured ox dies, then the two owners must sell the live ox and divide the price equally between them. They must also divide the dead animal. Here we are talking about fairness. If we have pets, we must train them not to cause harm to others. We should also take full responsibility for the recurrent injuries or harm that our animals could cause to other animals. It can be our dog or our cat. Yes. These days, we realize that we coexist with people, and some of them are so protective of their animals. Yes. We should not live in such a way that our protection of our animals, our protection of our cars and things that are to us is such that we want to always win and others should always lose. Sometimes when there's a collision of two cars and the cars all get spoiled, there should be fairness in deciding that, oh, your cars got spoiled here, my cars got spoiled here. Let's go and repair yours, I also repair mine. Or I have caused so much harm to your car, so let's share the cost so that my whole car can be repaired. Let's be fair. Let's be just with one another. Sometimes somebody knocks your car and then the person comes and says, what did you do? And they defend themselves and they will go to the extent of, because they know some policeman and they know how to get themselves out of the situation. They'll get themselves out of the situation because sometimes they tell you, let's settle it out of, we shouldn't call the police. Then afterwards you start calling them on the phone and they don't respond. This is morally unacceptable and it's unjust. Sometimes you have to share the cost. Sometimes you have to share the cost of the harm that has been caused. When there are injuries, sometimes you have to pay for the hospital bill of the person. I mean, don't run away from it because it's a bad testimony to do that. These days that we coexist with animals, with technology, cars and things, we must live in a protective manner of ours and those of others, so as to ensure peace, harmony, love, and fairness with our neighbors and their animals and their vehicles and the things that are related to them. May God help us that we shouldn't cause injuries to others and find a way out. When we injure people, we should be ready to help them to come out of their injuries. If we destroy somebody's vehicle, we should be ready to do it so that the person will not have that feeling that we are bad people. If there's a need to share the cost, let us share the cost. And let's not leave all the cost on one person because we feel that we can get away with it. God bless you.
If you are blessed with this message, to get in touch with other messages of the servants of God, follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.